Hello everybody, welcome back to the James AllcotT channel. It's done. Done deal. Here we go. Other things that Fabrizio Romano might say, but Mauricio Pochettino is the new manager of PSG. He has been waiting. He's been waiting for... Is that the perfect project? No, it's not. It's not the perfect project, is it? Is that the perfect project? No. Is that the perfect project? Yes, it is. It's PSG. Apparently, he's been waiting for this one. He's been waiting for the perfect project. Turned out a lot of teams along the way since he was sacked in 2019 by Tottenham Hotspur. And what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to talk about both Pochettino, but also the impact on other clubs, managers, and players because of the fact that Mauricio Pochettino has taken a job. He's finally taken a job. Now, of course, he used to play for PSG back in the day. And so let's start off with Pochettino himself. I think this is a great move for him for several reasons. One, and the biggest one, and it won't be the biggest one for Pochettino, but for any kind of Pochettino doubters, the fact that he goes there and could quite easily win, and it is kind of the sort of the equivalent of the Community Shield, but he can win a trophy within the first month of his reign as a PSG boss. But more importantly, actually, down the road, what is guaranteed by this position is trophies, which is something he was never able to do at Spurs, obviously, and that was the thing that kind of carried him around, and that was why he was replaced by Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho has won trophies. That's the main difference, really. Does he play better football than Pochettino? I don't think he does. And I think that's what Spurs fans both kind of knew when he came in. And really, they've all kind of made that deal with the devil. And they've gone, yeah, all right, get us a trophy, then we'll let you go. And that'll be the end of it. I think a lot of the Spurs fans that I talk to, they're kind of in that camp. Because they did love Pochettino and loved the football that he played and created at Spurs. And also at Southampton, did brilliantly there as well. So Pochettino, though, he needs that sort of monkey off his back, and that will come. There's no doubt about that. He's an ex-PSG player, which obviously is huge in all of this. It always is. It's weird, isn't it? But somehow you do kind of want one of your own. And so for PSG fans and for the general kind of story around him being there and there being strong, passionate roots behind that, that's all really important as well. And so that's a good move for him as well. The problem is, and it's the problem for any manager at PSG, and actually, is this a problem? I don't know. You tell me in the comments below. You will get trophies, but will you get glory at PSG? Because there is literally only one trophy that matters for PSG. And Tuchel, who has lost his job after a 4-0 win, let's remember. And of course, it's not been the start that they wanted. Third in the league at the moment. And so that's obviously a problem, right? But he got to the Champions League final like a few weeks ago. A bit like Pochettino himself when he was at Spurs. But when it kind of turned wrong, and we'll get onto Tuchel because there's obviously an impact here because he's lost his job now. But for Pochettino to get the glory, he's got to galvanise the egos in that team. That's another new challenge for him. I left my heater on. He's got to motivate those egos, Mbappe, Neymar, and they are the two that rule the roost there. I think it's pretty well known. And I remember reading a headline and it said, what is the point in Neymar at PSG if they don't win the Champions League? And ultimately, the end of that project of having Neymar, of making history with the amount of money that they put forward to get someone like Neymar into that football club, it is a failure with a big, fat, hairy F if they don't win the Champions League. So there is a huge pressure on Pochettino. And so although there will be a sort of bit of a love-in and he's got that bit of time before he gets ready for that big game against Barcelona in the last 16 in the Champions League, the pressure will come very quickly. I guess the good thing by taking the job now for him is that if it doesn't work out, they won't sack him straight away. But that sounds like an outrageous thing for me to say. But the problem is, when it comes to PSG, when it comes to the owners, when it comes to the expectations, that has to be done. The Champions League needs to be won. And so for Pochettino, this is a new set of expectations for him, a new era where you go from sort of the plucky underdog, I guess, a lot of the time, although he built that into a team that then had high expectations. You've gone to PSG and it's all or nothing. It really is all or nothing. The good side of this is that everyone knows that. And your creditability doesn't actually it doesn't move forward or move backwards really if you fail in this job, because you'll still win the trophies that we're talking about. I've got to stop doing that, by the way. Sorry. You won't lose too much credibility. And that moves us on to Tuchel. Tuchel's lost his job. So what does this mean for him? The big thing for me when it comes to him is that he is now creating a reputation where, unfortunately, or rightly or wrongly, he obviously wants a lot of control, and he's a little bit difficult to work with in terms of the hierarchy of football clubs. You've seen that at Borussia Dortmund. You did very well at Borussia Dortmund, but the sort of top guys there said that he's not someone that's actually, sometimes it's not about that. It's actually about how you're able to work with someone. And there were moments where they weren't happy about that. With this one, a strange way of losing your job. But the reason he's lost his job is because he's made comments in an interview, which he's then gone and said, no, you're taking me out of context there. But it was almost like it didn't matter to the top dogs at PSG, because he's a little bit truculent. He's He's after an argument. He gets fed up with these egos, which is understandable, which is one of the, it is the biggest task of this. Like, how do you keep these guys on course? And that will be another thing that Pochettino needs to sort out. I think in terms of the squad that's there, it suits the way that he wants to go and play. I guess the big thing is that you got to allow Neymar to be Neymar. But, Tuchel actually hadn't done too much wrong in terms of the setup of the team, making Neymar that main man, being able to go and get on the ball, and then using the speed and power and pace and devastating finishing ability and talent that Mbappe's got on that left-hand side. So I don't expect huge changes in how PSG play, because, the key men are the key men, and that's not going to change between now and then. But for Tuchel, with Pochettino taken out of the merry-go-round of super managers, shall we say, we now have Max Allegri, which we've had before, and so what's going to happen to him? Because apparently he was the first choice for this job. But for Tuchel almost gets swapped in, okay? Or does he? Is he now a good enough manager, and also a manager that people can work with enough for him to continue to get these top jobs? And where is the next top job for Tuchel? Dortmund, then PSG. That's pretty high, right? And look, he will be able to spin his CV pretty well. Getting the trophies, getting to the final of the Champions League, it's all pretty good, right? But the big focus for Pochettino a lot of time, Real Madrid, Barcelona. Do you see either of those clubs going to Tuchel and saying, yes, we'll have you? Maybe Barcelona, maybe a new Barcelona where you've still got Dembele and you've got quite a lot of young players that are a little bit more malleable, but you've got someone like Lionel Messi who's looking to make his decision in terms of where he wants to go next. And that is probably the next person that we'll move on to now. So first question for you guys in the comments, let me know. Tuchel, what's his next job? And do you still think he's worth the difficulties that seem to come along with him? Moving on, let's go Messi then, because I spoke about him just there. Lionel Messi, I really wouldn't be surprised, and actually, I guess I would be surprised now, because he's come out and said, one, he said, it's always been a dream to play in the US. But secondly, he's kind of said, I'm going to make my big decision in terms of staying at Barcelona or leaving at the end of the season, because he doesn't know what he's doing yet. But of course, when it's in January, he can do what he wants in terms of signing a pre-contract agreement. For me, Man City and PSG are obviously the two that are going to go after him. And so this is a big move as well, because Pochettino is a fellow Argentinian. He obviously will have some kind of connection there with Lionel Messi. Now, of course, it's never going to be the same level as Guardiola at Barcelona. But of course, there are also reports that over the years, there's been little wobbles between Guardiola and Messi, but it feels like that's done now. And he does want to play with Guardiola, but does he want to leave and not ruin his legacy, but certainly put a dent in it by leaving Barcelona? But the PSG move is also one where Neymar's gone to, he's gone to people recently after a game and said, I would do anything to play with Lionel Messi. You've got an Argentinian in the job there, an Argentinian with the same sensibilities that I'm sure Lionel Messi will appreciate. And so for a fresh start with a fresh manager that you could be excited about, a little bit more so than Tuchel, who has had his problems with Neymar and Mbappe and everyone really in terms of those big egos, then Pochettino all of a sudden looks a lot more appetizing to Lionel Messi, I think, than Tuchel would have if he'd still been in the job and was going into the next season. You now know with Pochettino, he's going to be your manager going into next season. So that affects Lionel Messi's thinking and decisions now. Because if Pochettino and Neymar can get together and really kind of get a connection there, then Neymar's obviously very good friends with Lionel Messi, and that could affect that situation as well. Like I said, it feels for me, the ripple effect of this signing is huge. Now, I could go on to talk about Neymar, but let's move on to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who I think is the next big talking point when it comes to this, because that has been the rhetoric for a long time. And there are reports that he was previously offered the job at Manchester United when they were getting to a point with Solskjaer where they're like, not really sure this is going to work out. Solskjaer, here's another question for you in the comments. Is it more important to be a great manager or a lucky manager? Now, that feels provocative, right? And it might be a bit unfair because I stand by what I've said about him now. I've made my conclusions personally. As I feel like I don't think he's the best of coaches, but I do think he is a good manager. And I do think those are two different things. But maybe the management of the personalities that he's got there has allowed him to sort of get out of trouble quite a few times when, after the Leipzig defeat or previous defeats in the past where it looks like it's like he's not the right guy. He's always had that little bit of luck. And now, once you get a kind of platform from that luck, you see Man United in the situation they're in now, they're starting to get moving in the right direction and could soon be very, very close to being at the top of the league. All that said, there has been pressure with Solskjaer and Pochettino, and this will be brilliant news for Solskjaer to hear, to see that. He will never admit it, of course. But for Pochettino to not be in the window, just glaring, going, keeping an eye on it, for that route not to be sort of used by the media now is huge for Solskjaer. And now there might be a situation, and there might be a situation for a few clubs here, with Pochettino now not in the running, where it calms down a little bit. Who are the new names on this merry-go-round of managers that you go, oh, okay, yeah, he's got to be the Man United manager? Because I think before it was Pochettino, and now I think we'll be waiting for a while, especially with the form that Solskjaer has been able to create at Manchester United at the moment. So for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, again, another person impacted by this whole situation. Guardiola, same goes for him. There's been rumours about Man City and Pochettino going there and taking over Guardiola. Of course, Guardiola had signed that contract. So you thought it was, that would have been case closed on that one. And I think Guardiola has sort of slowly kind of made it clear that, yes, he is going to be here for the long haul at Man City and he is going to evolve this team, because I think that's something that he almost wants to challenge himself as well. Although that is a surprise compared to his previous jobs that he's been in, where it's been 3 years and then he leaves because he's so exhausted by it all. So for Guardiola, again, who's the guy who takes over Guardiola? It could have been Pochettino. Now it feels like there isn't really a name that you can put in his spot. So again, people almost kind of put their knives away and now have to just go, okay, it's going to be Guardiola. It's going to be Solskjaer at Man United for the foreseeable future. The idea of people getting the sack is it's going to be tricky, because even more so than ever, there are fewer and fewer names available to these big clubs. Next one for me, Mourinho. Mourinho, it affects him because we're now moving into the player situation. We are in January. We're nearly in January. And in the January transfer window, Mourinho has a few players that he might want to get rid of. And I think in terms of his relationship with players, we've seen this over a long period of time, certainly at Man United. After a while, there was a galvanizing of a group of players, but then after a while, it got to a point where certain scapegoats were created. There is an extra strategy for those scapegoats. And so be that Aurier, who has been linked, be it Dele Alli, who's been heavily linked for a while. For Mourinho, this could be useful, or this could be a bit of a problem in terms of inside the dressing room at Spurs with players that maybe he was trying to get a reaction from. He might now be looking to try and kind of solve those problems, because they now will look over there and go, I can jump on the Eurostar, get over to Paris, have a great life with a manager who loves me. So for Mourinho, he's going to need to deal with that. because they're going to start talking. A lot of the players in that Spurs squad that loved him so much. So this, again, it affects Mourinho as well. And so when we're talking about players, the last one I'm going to finish on, because it was on this list of 6 or so that I just literally off the top of my head, but I think it goes on. It moves on even to, say, Zidane with Real Madrid is another team that was, he's been linked with. And Zidane, again, will it be a case of, look, it's on to you now, certainly to the end of the season, just to crack on. But Christian Eriksen is the final, maybe, piece in all of this. Who knows what the relationship is between the two of those? Because I think Eriksen already made it abundantly clear that he wanted to leave. He told the world in the summer, whilst Pochettino was still the manager. So it looks like Eriksen has had a disaster at Inter Milan. He wants to move. I think that AllcotT, maybe I've got it wrong, but he said that Eriksen can move. And so the PSG looks like a really great one for all parties involved, especially with the long contract that Eriksen's got at Inter Milan. Pochettino could be a real saviour for him there. Be interesting to see what their relationship is like and if they can get that move over the line. From what I've read so far, it looks like it's not going to be one that's going to be available to him. But coming back to PSG, I think there are some really, really top-notch players that were probably always kind of slightly keen on moving to PSG, but would now be desperate to get over there, regardless of the fact that you're playing in Ligue 1 or not, to play for Mauricio Pochettino. So there you have it. It's going to be interesting. He's going to do well, but it really is, it's paper thin, the line between failure and success for him at PSG, because if he wins the Champions League, he's a success, but anything less than that is not good enough, which is difficult when you've got a squad that does have some superstars, but is also, as we've just seen, has struggled to get out of its Champions League group. Plays a understrength Barcelona in the next round of the Champions League, which should be of use to them. You might have a Lionel Messi who's actually kind of keen to play for your club, which could also be interesting, difficult for Lionel Messi, or it could be inspiring for him as well. Who knows? What I do know is it's going to be a fascinating one. And what I also know is that I'd like you to let me know what you think in the comments below. That's what these kind of videos are always about. It's me putting forward thoughts and opinions, but also questions. So get involved in the comments below. We hit 60k over Christmas Eve, I think it was. Yeah, of course it was. Thank you everyone who has subscribed. We'll keep moving forward now. So if you are new to the channel and you've watched this video all the way till now and you've enjoyed it, do 2 things for me. Hit the like button, massively helps, and hit the subscribe button as well. Loads of videos coming very, very soon, especially in this January transfer window. I'll see you guys very, very soon.